Hi, this is John Barnes, and you're listening to Cop On.
Isaac and Florian Verts. We didn't get gay, but things could be much worse. Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong. Arteta thinks he's better, but he's deluded and wrong. 'Cause the mighty red men are winning the lot, with Salah and Virgil and old Arne Slot. Salah and Virgil and old Arne Slot.
If you don't like songs or music, that's okay. If you don't like that song, that's okay. If you send me an email, koponpodcast@gmail.com, I can send you a link to Good Housekeeping magazine, How to Get Your Money Back. I sent that link to a listener once. Maybe he's listening now. I didn't mean anything by it other than if you don't like it, just stop listening. But this is Kop On Podcast. I'm delighted that you are listening, whoever you are, wherever you are, across this beautifully fruity world. I'm thrilled to be joined by Shane and by Nigel. Possibly by Gene if he joins us. I'm not sure. Maybe he will. And we're going to talk about squad depth, as alluded to in that opening song. Giuseppe Verdi, what a guy. And we're going to start with Liverpool, but we're also going to look at the depth of our main rivals, being probably Arsenal and Chelsea. And just for fun, I put Man City on that list as well. Squad depth. We're also going to talk about Morgan Rogers links, Olise links. I'm going to ask Shane about Arsenal, and that's pretty much it. So that's what's going to happen in your ears, tickling your audicles as we move forward on Kop On Podcast. You're all very welcome. Shane, welcome back. Welcome back. The transfer window. Many people call it an astonishing window. The lowest rating that I've heard is 8 out of 10. And many people are going for 10 out of 10. Out of 10, Shane, how would you rate our summer transfer window and why?
Hello. Thank you for having me back on, Owen. Hello, Nigel. Yeah, for the transfer window, I mean, numbers, yeah, if you were to rate things based on numerical values, I would say 9.5, 10. But really, in terms of what I think surpasses numbers are words. And the only word I can think of is historic. And I don't think there's any other better way to put it.
Historic. Excellent stuff. When we look at the Liverpool squad, okay, let's go through the depth now. And I'll bring Nigel in on this. No, I'm going to stay with you, Shane, actually, because I'm interested in your opinion on this. So in goal, we've got Alisson backed up by Mamadashvili. Centre backs Konate, Van Dijk, Leone and Gomez. Right backs Frimpong, Bradley, and then also Dom Soboslai. Left back Kerkez and Robertson. Central midfield, the defensive positions, the two number 6s. We have McAllister, Gravenberg, Jones and Endo. And in the number 10 position, we have Wirtz and Soboslai, although of course McAllister could also play there. And so could Jones. Up front, Salah, Chiesa, Isak, Ekitike, Gakpo and Rio. Shane, I was listening to the Anfield rap earlier, and Neil Atkinson suggests that we're one forward short because he's not convinced that Ungamoha or Chiesa are ready to offer us the incredible quality that Salah, Isak, Ekitike and Gakpo are, and he would like to have 5 strikers. For me, I look at the centre-back position, Konate, Van Dijk, Leonie and Gomez, and I think, well, we could do one more there. But I'm also looking at the number 6 position, specifically Gravenberch, because if Gravenberch gets injured, I don't think we've got adequate cover. I'm not particularly happy with Endo. So you've started with the positive, a marvellous 9.5 or 10 out of 10 historic transfer window. I want to shift it to like the imperfection, the what's wrong, what's the dust, or the grain of dust in the beautifully clear eyeball of this transfer window. Where are we short, Shane?
It's a great question. Honestly, whenever I think about this type of question, and I'm looking at our squad right now on screen, I actually kind of just think it's a perspective issue. For example, Dominic, like up until this past 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, I would have never even have thought him as an option for right back. So based on everyone that we're looking at in our squad, if someone gets injured, if someone drops out, I'm not trying to go against the great Neil Atkinson or anyone else or you or anybody, but I actually have confidence. Yes, one thing that I am noticing is, there is a lot of youth options that we're having to put in, and some people that have not been tested as much as others. But I actually think there are a number of players who can swap around, that I don't think any one of these players is specifically locked into one thing or another. And I think, the results Sunday showed that. So.
No, it's a great answer. So, yes, of course, because at centre-back, of course, you can drop Gravenberch or Endo back there, for example. Our players in Arne slot, total football-inspired, Dutch schools-inspired system means that our players are interchangeable in many ways, which is very important. Excellent point, Shane. Nigel, how do you feel about Liverpool's squad?
We've got a very good squad. It's like Shane said, we might look a little bit threadbare, and you said it might look a little bit threadbare if certain people get injured. But looking at that, Dom Szoboszlai has slotted in at right back. We had Frimpong out injured and Bradley not fully fit, and he's gone back in there and he's looked like he's played there for years and actually been our best player this season so far. It's incredible how good he's been. Even before the goal on Sunday, which was just incredible, he was brilliant. He was easily man of the match. Kirkes had his best game for us. The 2 centre-backs, Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk, were immense. Ibu looked like he was back to his best. So, as long as you can keep people from playing in a position that's a little too alien, if you know what I mean. Like the first day we played Endo right back, and he looked a little bit out of sorts, and we conceded 2 goals. You've got to be fitting the people into the right places. Szoboszlai has the engine, and he has the pace. So that's important. Curtis Jones came on the other day and made a huge impact on the team. He slotted into the middle of the field. He made that run that won the free kick because he was playing positively. And when we started playing positively in midfield, Maka looked a little bit off, I have to say, unfortunately, but that'll come. He'll be fine. Curtis went on there and made a difference in the amount of people giving out about Curtis Jones, me included, about sometimes him being a little holding onto the ball a little too long and passing the ball backwards too much. We all do it because he just seems to be that seems to be the thing. But he came on Sunday and was incredibly good. He made a big difference. Won the free kick, but was very progressive, ran very well. Arsenal went out there with 4 centre-backs on Sunday and 3 holding midfield players. And an important thing in squad depth that Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to have grasped is squad depth is the amount of players you have, not how far back you sit in your own half for 99 minutes. So we went out after spending less money as league champions and went out and won that game on Sunday. We didn't. That wasn't luck. They would have been lucky to get a draw off us because they sat back and didn't try to win it. They went out not to lose. We went out in the second half to win, and we did.
It's a great point. I actually listened to an Arsenal podcast, Cannon Stats, which is a really good podcast, but obviously very biased like we are. We have our Liverpool caps on. They have their Arsenal caps on. And they were talking about the Arsenal game, saying how well they'd done in many ways. And it goes against the general narrative because they'd actually done so well to control most of the game against Liverpool. That was how they saw it. But this is just a team that's telling themselves how good they are because they need to G themselves up, in my opinion. They need to prove to themselves that losing at Anfield was not such a terrible result. But obviously, it's not a terrible result in the context because anyone can lose at Anfield because we've got an incredible team. But I mean, terrible in the sense of their Premier League hopes for this season. It was a 6-pointer and they lost it. It's very hard to lose games against your direct rivals for the title. It can have a huge impact. And I wonder, Shane, how you felt about the result, because I mean, 3 results that have just been phenomenal in my book. 9 points, but talk to me about the Arsenal one. How big a result is it for you, Shane?
It's a huge result. Whenever we talk about, whenever you can't lose against your title rivals, I mean, how many seasons do we need to go back and watch the highlights of us versus Man City and realize that the points dropped in those matches were the points gap between us and the title that year. So I think it is very significant in that way. Mentality wise, it just makes us feel like we're that much more invincible. Sorry for the Arsenal pun, but, also, on top of it, it just reaffirms your faith and belief in this club, in the universe, and everything that's going on. I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, and I'm not trying to sound all woo-woo or anything else, but these opening 3 matches, I have literally been standing just hoping, trying to manifest with everything inside, having enough faith and belief, and then the goals do come. And so especially during that free kick, you are standing there, you're holding your hands out, your hands to your head, whatever you want, and you're just like, this, I have to believe that this is going to be the moment. And then that, even with Ingamoa against Newcastle, there are all these incredible things that keep happening that you're like, there's no way this is all happening in the first 3 games. I think I mentioned before, after the Bournemouth match, I was like, oh yes, 1 heart attack down, at least 37 more to go. I had no idea I would be eating those words here now.
Well, I mean, not eating them. I mean, they're still on the table. Absolutely. It's 35 heart attacks to go. We've scored 8 goals, more than any other team, and we've conceded 4 goals, which is more than any other team in the top 4, more than any other team in the top 6. Only Bournemouth have also conceded 4 goals, and Manchester United in the top 9. So Liverpool are one of 3 clubs in the top 9 to have already conceded 4, but we've scored 8, which is 1 more than Chelsea, who are second best, and Arsenal, who are third best, having scored 5 of those against Leeds. We've got the hardest start of the season on paper, and we're absolutely kicking it. But on Arsenal themselves, the self-proclaimed best team in history, probably best team in Europe, best team in the universe, best team in the Milky Way. Their squad depth. Let's have a chat about that. They've got David Raya and Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, which is very good, I think. 2 good goalkeepers there. Left back, Calafiori and Lewis Skelly. Centre backs, Gabriel, Saliba, Hincapié and Mosquera. Mosquera was very good. We'll give that to them when he came on the pitch. And at right back, they have Timber and White. Midfield, they've got Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard, Merino, Norgard and Nwaneri. This person has put Nwaneri as one of the midfield options for Arsenal, which is a bit odd. And then up front, they've got Eze. I'm going to change this. Eze's going to play in midfield probably for Arsenal. So I'm going to say, go back. Arsenal's midfield 6 are Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard, Eze, Norgard, and Merino. That's how it's going to work, I think. On the left of attack, Eze is an option there. But they've got Martinelli and Trossard. In the centre of their attack, they've got Gyökeres, Havertz, and the lesser spotted Gabriel Jesus. And on the right side of their attack, they have Saka, Madueke, Dalman, and Nwaneri. On paper, Nigel, this is a very, very, very good squad. It's an incredibly expensively assembled squad, but it's a beauty nonetheless. Is their only problem well, two problems I see for Arsenal. I think Arteta and the pressure from the fans. I think those are Arsenal's biggest problems. But what do you make of Arsenal and their squad depth, Nigel?
What you said, Arteta. I said it on previous pods with here. He is too concentrated. If looking at the middle of the field, he's playing 4 centre backs. Saliba went off the other day, and the other guy came on and did really well. Madueke did really well. I thought he was their best player the other day. I thought he was very, very good. But they had one shot on target in the whole game. All they do is concentrate on long throws, corners, free kicks, and lump the ball into the box. That's like he's after, and you can hear the players. He might as well be a ventriloquist at this stage. You can hear the players coming through him. Raya said something about the ball. I'm not sure whether it was a kind of a laid trap. You remember the time Arteta went on about the ball? Like 3 goalkeepers wouldn't have stopped that free kick on Sunday. It doesn't matter what ball it was. It was hit so well. 3 goalkeepers wouldn't have stopped it. Anyway, he plays too conservatively. He tries to just stoke up a team's pressure and catch him on the break. They did it to a bad Manchester United team who should have had a penalty because Saliba went through the back of one of the United players. Like, if these guys are going to continue to make excuses like that, and he's not going to let guys like Odegaard off the leash, so to speak. Like, he's basically turned Odegaard into a holding midfield player, and he's not that. Like, you've got Rice is better than that too. Just going on, like the first ball. I just remembered it the other day after we'd done the pod on. The first kickoff in the game. Now, I was talking to Martin that I work with today, and he said that some of the other teams are doing the same thing. First kickoff, where does he put it? Down by the corner flag to give us a throw in our own corner. Like, what's he playing, rugby? Like, you know what I mean? So much of being tactical. It's not. Clearly, see, we're going to try and hem you in and batter you with set pieces, throws, free kicks, corners. We're going to try and hold you in a position down there and get a stranglehold on the game and not let you out. Well, it might work against lesser teams, but we've got a very strong defence, and we proved that on Sunday. Our defence was rock solid. Every single one of them, rock solid. I thought Madueke, brilliant game, handled really well by Kirkes. An Arsenal fan said that Gyökeres had the better of Ibu. No, he didn't. He most definitely did not. And Madueke might have got a few times past Kirkes, but Kirkes was very good. Go back to their squad. Like, they probably missed Saka, but like when all they're doing is getting the ball from the back or midfield and humping it over the top for lads to run onto and try and get corners and free kicks, it negates any kind of individuality, so to speak. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a bit of individuality in our players rather than have that. You can be as squad based as you like. If you're going to squeeze individuality out of a player, out of a team, it ain't going to work.
No, I totally agree. On the Canon Stats podcast, they were talking about how the person. This is why they have data analysts and people who are statisticians and things on Canon Stats, but everyone is susceptible to just flopping into the swimming pool of bias at any moment, and belly flopping into it, I should say. And one of the guests on there, I'm not sure of his name, was balking at the idea that Zubimendi was bought as a defensive midfielder, because he was not a defensive midfielder at all. For Sociedad, that was more Marino's job, and Zubimendi was much more of a playmaker and not at all a 6. For Shane and for Nigel, I have a picture to show you, which is a heat map of Arsenal versus Liverpool of both of our midfields. So on the left-hand side of this heat map, you have the combined heat map of our midfielders. So you've got Gravenberch, McAllister and Wirtz. And on the right, you have the combined Arsenal midfielders. You have Marino, Zubimendi and Rice. And you can quite clearly see that the majority of Marino, Zubimendi and Rice are operating between their own edge of the box and the halfway line. All of them, all 3 of them. There is another large heat map area on the corner flag, because Declan Rice took about 10 corners, which we defended extremely well. But tactically, you can tell that Arsenal were told to be very, very rigid, to go to Anfield and to shut up the shop in the way that they did, it's very evident on this heat map that he was given, as Nigel said, Shane, Nigel was talking about, basically squeezing any kind of creativity out of the players. I include the midfielders in that. Zubimendi could be very creative. If they let him off the leash, he could be extremely dangerous, but he's not. Arteta's put him on a leash at Anfield. Maybe it's just the Anfield game, but I think that's a good indicator, Shane, that Arteta is not the man to take this team and give them the belief to go and win at Anfield, because that's what you've got to do if you've got to be a champion. So thinking about Arsenal, their depth, the problems that I'm talking about, it's got to be Arteta's got to be one of them as far as I'm concerned. Do you agree or disagree, Shane, or do you see any other problems that Arsenal have? For example, Saka seems to be losing form as well as fitness. I don't know. Talk to me about Arsenal, what you make of them.
Yeah, so just going off what you just said, especially with the heat maps, whenever you look at that, you start to see that, and it really conjured it in my mind when you were talking about putting Zubimendi on the leash. Isn't that just like the ghosts of Guardiola and Arteta's past? It just seems like there have been things that have been, in terms of the tactical philosophy that Arteta uses to approach the game, seems to be this like modified version of the Guardiola tactics. And Nigel did a great way of putting it in. This also put it into my mind when he talked about stomping out the individuality in the players, their individual creativity. I mean, there's no greater example than Jack Grealish, where everything that was going well for him is taken away, and then now that he's off at a different club where he's able to breathe more, he seems to be very instrumental and the type of football player that we all know. And so and then we're looking at these heat maps. I will say on the Liverpool side, I really love what we're seeing. We're seeing them move across the top of their 18-yard box. We see them supplying coverage to the center backs, and then also right there in front of Kirkez. It seems like there is also, trying to provide support to Kirkez, since that was kind of a weak point and earlier on in the season. So yeah, I'm much more happier with our heat map than theirs. It does seem like they are just being pinned back, and then Declan Rice just has to get a corner and then take those corners, and that's what they're hoping for. But in terms of another one of their problems, it's reoccurring injuries. It's what we went through with during the Klopp era. It seems like they have all of these great players. They have this incredible depth, which I will say is probably might even be better than ours in some regards, because they don't rely on as many youth players as we do. But I mean, when are they ever available? Saka keeps going in and out. He has a spotty record in terms of being able to consistently stay fit. Saliba is the same thing. I mean, Saliba went out in the first 5 minutes, 7 minutes. So yeah, there's something going on with them and their physios and the way that they maybe recover that I don't think is going well. I don't know if they're not made of glass, you know what I mean? So there must be something else going on. So, but also just as a last point with the heat maps, I don't know if any of you have seen it. It was really funny. They showed a heat map. Someone did like a joke image, a Photoshop of Dominic's heat map, and they put it in the shape of a goat across the whole pitch. It's nice. It's pretty funny. I need to find it and send it, but yeah.
No, I've seen that before. Unfortunately, that's not an original joke, because I used to see it with Messi. But yes, I do like that one. It's a great one.
Yes, and honestly, with the internet, it's all Mad Libs anyway. Everyone is just swapping everything in and out, and jokes are repeated around. That's so true. Yeah. Not
it is a good one. It is a good one. But on Saka's injury record, I've got it in front of me. He's currently out with a hamstring injury. He's already missed 2 games, and he's been out for 13 days as we're speaking now. But last season, he had 3 separate injuries. One which is just on Transfer Market as a muscle injury, which kept him out for 8 days. And then thigh problems kept him out for 15 days. And a hamstring injury is the most recent that kept him out for 99 days. And he missed 19 Arsenal matches last season with a hamstring injury. So very bad news for them that it's it's recurred, but it's not at all surprising when they've been absolutely overplaying him for so many years, for like 4 years, 5 years. He started getting problems, thigh problems and muscle problems and an unknown injury in the 23-24 season. And once that started, it just seems to have snowballed somewhat. So yes, Saka is injured, and for me, his form, he's going to take a while to get back to that form, if at all, under Arteta. Gyökeres, we kept him very quiet. I don't know who's suggesting that he got the better of Konate. It's ridiculous. Havertz has got no confidence. Jesus is always injured. They brought in Eze, and I don't know if you noticed, but when Eze tried a little trick, Arteta had a go at him for trying a trick. So it seems like a matter of time before Eze also loses confidence. And let's talk about Chelsea. Chelsea's squad depth this year. In goal, they have Sanchez, Jorgensen, and someone called Slonina. At the back, left back, Cucurella and Hato. Centre backs, they got loads of them. Colwill, Chalobah, Badia Shield, Fofana, still there. Adarabiyoyo, aka Tosin, and Dizazi, or the Disaster, as they call him. At right back, Reece James, Malagusto, and Achiem Pong. In midfield, Palmer, Buonanotte, Caicedo, Lavia, Esugo, Fernandez, and Andre Santos. And Estevao, I imagine, is Esugo. I'm not sure who that is on this graphic, but I imagine they have Estevao as well. Oh, sorry, no, he's listed as a right attacker. Estevao is a right attacker with Pedro Neto, but actually Estevao can also play in midfield. But yeah, he's going to play in attack as well. That's true. Estevao is a right attacker with Pedro Neto and Sterling. Apparently, he's still around. And then João Pedro, Delap, and Mark Guiu.
Yeah, he's on loan to Sunderland for the season.
No, they brought him back.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, after no games, basically. Yeah, they brought him back.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he was still there.
No, because Delap got injured.
Oh, yes, he did.
Because Delap was injured, they panicked and brought Guiu back so that Nick Jackson could then leave. I believe that's what happened. And then on the left, they've got Garnacho, Gittins, and someone called George, who I think is a hot prospect for Chelsea.
Is that the guy that left the other day? Didn't he join Fulham?
Possibly. I don't know. This was from...
I think he did. 22 years old for about 42 million, I think.
I'm going to Google it. Tyreek George stays at Chelsea.
Well, did he? I thought he went. Wow.
Yeah, the move collapsed. Yeah, Tyreek George.
Okay.
So Fulham pulled out in the final hour, apparently. So I don't know what happened there. And it could be something to do with Harry Wilson, who was supposed to move to Leeds. I'm not sure. Not sure what happened there. But so this graphic does appear to be okay. So Garnacho, Gittins, and Tyreek George on the left side of attack. And we've gone through the rest. So there you go. For me, they look particularly good in midfield with Palmer, Caicedo, Lavia, Fernandez, Santos. Estevao can drop back there if they need more creativity. They also have Buonanotte, who's a player that I really like. And I don't know who Esugo is. But that's very, very, very strong, as good as anything in the league. Up top, I really like João Pedro, excellent player. I really like Delap, excellent player. Estevao and Neto, good enough. Garnacho, Gittins, George, well, we'll see. The jury's out. But it's the defence that bothers me with Chelsea. I'm a big fan of Malo Gusto, their right back. He's young and he's got all kinds of attributes that I really like. But if he gets injured, Reece James is always injured. And then at centre-backs, Colwill and Chalobah, Badia Shield, Fofana, Tosin and Dizazi. And their goalkeeper, of course, Sanchez, has got an error, more than one error in him. Then at left back, Cucurella and Hato. I suppose Hato could play in the middle as well. They've got a ton of players, Nigel, but I see the problems other than defensively. Defense is a big problem. I see the problem as the World Club Championship eventually taking a toll and squad harmony being a thing that, we've got about 25, 26, 28 players on that list that I've just read out. But how do you keep them all happy? They've all been in this revolving door. They know that if they make a mistake, they'll be out of a team and then sold as soon as possible to the nearest buyer. And it just seems like it's not going to be much of a fun place to work. I think that's it. Lack of fun, tiredness, and the defence. Those are three things that are Chelsea's problems. What do you think?
They got handed 3 points the other day by 2 atrocious decisions by the referee. If you saw Fulham,
I didn't see.
If you saw Fulham's disallowed goal, the ball was coming across to the Fulham guy in the middle of the field, and he tried to turn into the guy, and the Chelsea guy, I think it was Chalobah, went in underneath him, kind of, and the Fulham guy stood on the Chelsea guy's foot, and the ball went down the field, and Fulham scored a really nice goal. Young guy, would have been his first ever goal, and VAR intervened and said it had been a foul by the Fulham guy in the middle of the field, and he stood on the guy's foot. It was a disgrace. It was a terrible decision.
Horrendous. Was that Josh King of Fulham?
Yes.
Oh man, keep an eye out for him if you haven't seen him. Amazing
very
talent.
Good.
But yeah,
very, very good.
Okay, so and that was one decision. What was the other one?
Yeah, and the second goal, there was a ball came across the box, and first of all, the Chelsea guy 2-hand shoved the Fulham guy in the back. The ball was kind of rolling around between 3 players, and it bounced up and hit the Chelsea guy's hands were out like this, trying to balance, and the ball hit the end of his fingers, a bit like the Bournemouth guy against Liverpool in the first game of the season. Nothing given. Ball went out, crossed in. The Fulham guy went up like that. The blocker hit him there, penalty.
When you say there, it's on the elbow.
On the end of his elbow, which was shoulder high. And okay, no problem with that decision. But there should have been a handball before that.
The first one was a handball. Yeah. Well, that's so bad, isn't it? How do they miss? How do they miss it? With the TV replays, I've got no problem with referees missing things like that. No problem at all. But if it's you got the replays to show it, then how do they get it so wrong? It's insane.
Massive ineptitude every game.
So, but in the bigger picture, Nigel, apart from lucky decisions, I mean, Chelsea they need to rely on luck. I don't know. Have they got problem breaking teams down? What's their problem?
The problem might not be breaking teams down, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Goalkeeper not good enough. Defense not good enough. They can be got at. They're not that strong defensively. Midfield is very strong. Caicedo is a good player. Fernandes is a good player. Palmer, I'm not so sure he's a midfielder. I nearly put him up further up, sitting in number 10 or a forward.
Well, he does sort of play the number 10. It's more like a 4-2-3-1 than in this.
Yeah, maybe.
So he does play number 10, but no open play goals since January for Cole Palmer.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head with another one as well. I think there's too many people, and this guy, they've got an absolute lunatic of an owner. Bowley, is it Todd Bowley? And he's just going to go around buying people willy-nilly and just they'll challenge. I think they'll challenge, but not a concerted challenge. They'll be there hanging around for a while. They'll be consistent enough, but they'll drop points here and there, like they did the first game. Did they draw the first game of the season? I think they did.
They did, yes.
Yes. So I think they'll drop points like that, but they shouldn't be dropping. And I just think in the long run, I think that World Cup will definitely come back and bite them. I really do. I think that João Pedro looks a really good signing. He looks very, very good. But I'm just looking at Caicedo now. Okay. João Pedro, very good. Delap was looking okay. Neto looks good. Caicedo, Fernandes, even Chalobah. Cucurella's not too bad, I suppose. But if you're dependent on Garnacho, Raheem Sterling, no, just can't. In the long run, there's depth and there's kind of putting the tube down a hole, putting the tube in a hole, but it's still full of earth, if you know what I mean. That's one way to describe it, because you just take one. It's like the house of cards. Turn the card on its side, and it's paper thin, and one touch, gone. That might be a better way of describing it.
I mean, an injury to João Pedro and their attack falls apart. injury to Caicedo or Fernandez would be huge as well. I mean, all teams rely on injuries, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. Chelsea, they played Crystal Palace. That was the first game of the season that they drew 0-0. Then they beat West Ham 5-1 away, which is not that impressive really, because it's West Ham. Liverpool beat them 5-0, didn't we, last Christmas time? And it was a walk in the park at their ground as well. And then they beat Fulham 2-0. And as Nigel says, there were some terrible decisions going Chelsea's way there at Stamford Bridge. They've got Brentford next. Then they've got Bayern away, Man United away, Lincoln City in the EFL Cup, and then Brighton at home, Benfica at home, and then Liverpool at home on the 4th of October. So we'll see what happens with Chelsea. How do you feel about Chelsea, Shane?
Honestly, I do feel like that's a very strong squad. Obviously, I feel like they are going to be competing with Arsenal to go at us for the title. I do think that they can hold up over the course of the season. I think they have really great, exciting options. I think in terms of what we're talking about, like their overall philosophy on how they sign players and how they go about their business, it seems as if they really go for a very young talent, sign them on these long contracts, and as soon as they feel like there's a little bit of a dip, they try to sell them for as much money as possible, and they just try to rely. I mean, like, what was the average age of the Chelsea squad last year? I think it was like under 23 or something. So it seems to be that they go for the youth and they try to squeeze as much as they can out of the youth, and if someone isn't working in the least, they're willing to discard and move on to the next top young talent. But there are a lot of players, and the other thing that they do that I actually really do appreciate is that they seem to find players that seem to be on the outs at their current team with due to whatever reason, like, attitude, manager, whatever it might be. And that's very much what we did with Jurgen Klopp. I mean, look at Virgil van Dijk at Southampton. He was on the bench. And so there are several those things in particular. I actually, in Garnacho, like, there are certain things that they do. They find the talent that just seem to be not in the best morale place, and it seems to change them. But yeah, I do agree about the point of Todd Burley is pretty crazy. I mean, he owns the Los Angeles Dodgers here, so he is very much taking that sort of baseball, I'm going to be a hands-on manager, we're going to splash the cash sort of approach to their business.
How does it work with the Dodgers? I don't follow baseball at all. So what's he like as an owner? He's the same thing. Is he just splash the cash?
Yes. The Dodgers are often known. I don't follow baseball as closely as my other American compatriots, but the Dodgers have been known for, I don't know, a decade now for almost spending the most amount of money in every single off season. And so they're right up there with all the others. So yeah, they are very much a West Coast Yankees in terms of just spend as much as you can. And then, that's how they're just trying to buy trophies. So yeah, I feel like, and then now he's bought Chelsea. And so I feel like that's the approach. They did win the Club World Cup, but I do think that is going to have repercussions later on in their season with fitness. And also those pitches here in America are terrible, and they're going to be terrible during the World Cup too.
Yeah, wow. It's something that I don't know. I just hope all Liverpool players retire from international football because it's a big waste of time. Let's move away from Chelsea. Let's move on to Manchester City. They were not the champions last year. Liverpool were the champions last year, the 24-25 season. Absolutely superb season for Liverpool Football Club. We won the league, did you know? We are the champions, did you know? After 4 years of Manchester City winning, sometimes very fortunately, but generally winning. And I've got the team in front of me, their squad depth in front of me for this season, but I also have a graphic, which is the squad depth from the last time they won the league. Oh no, hang on, I think I've lost that one. I'll have to check that one. Let's just look at this year, and then I'll go back to the 23-24 season, the last time Man City won the league, because the current squad depth, let's just look at the current squad depth. it's got problems everywhere, in my opinion, because there are some wonderful players and some absolutely horrendous problems that are quite obvious to the untrained eye. In goal, Donnarumma has just signed. So they got Donnarumma and Trafford, basically. They also have Ortega and Bettinelli. But why they need 4 goalkeepers is anyone's guess. At left back, they have Aït-Nouri and a kid called Wilson Esbrand. Centre back, Gvardiol and Ake, Stones, Diaz, and Kusanov. Of course, Gvardiol can also play left back. At right back, Rico Lewis and Matheus Nunes. Central midfield, they've got Rodri, Nico. Kevin Phillips is still around, apparently. Kelvin Phillips, whatever his name is. Kelvin Phillips, England international. Lost his legs about 3 seasons ago. Reinders, Kovacic, speaking of lost legs, and O'Reilly. And in a 4-2-3-1 system, the 3 playing behind Haaland are Marmoush, Bernardo, Foden, Doku, Shirky, Savinho, and Oscar Bob. Bernardo can also play in midfield. And we're looking at that squad, and what immediately jumps out is that the older players are too old. Bernardo and Kovacic, I'm looking at you. And the players, certain players have lost form completely, like Foden. Some players are ineffective, like Doku and Bob. They look great, but they flatter to deceive. They have some wonderful players there. Haaland, Marmoush, Shirky, Savinho is going to come good under a good manager who can bring the best out of attacking players. Is that Pep? I don't know. And then midfield, Rodri looks crocked. Give him time. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he won't. And if he doesn't, you've got Nico Gonzalez. Doesn't look convincing at all. Kelvin Phillips, play your auntie instead of Kelvin Phillips. Reinders, who's extremely good technical player going forward and rubbish going backwards. Kovacic, he couldn't hold a beer, let alone a midfield together in the holding role. And O'Reilly, who's a good player. This is a very good young player, Nico O'Reilly, but he's inexperienced. Left back, Aït-Nouri again, excellent footballer, wonderful technical skills. Going backwards, don't know, he falls over. Gvardiol, who's good. Ake, who's lost a bit of form, in my opinion. John Stones, another one of the older players who's actually not good enough anymore. Ruben Diaz, who's one of the most overrated centre-backs I've ever seen. Kusanov, who actually gets into the team ahead of Diaz, which tells you everything about Diaz. Because Kusanov's rubbish. And then at right back, Matheus Nunes, who's awful, and Rico Lewis, who's just goes wandering. He's a very good technical player. Again, going backwards, nothing. And it's almost like, Nigel, Pep has only bought players who are extremely good at controlling a football when the ball is at their feet. They're extremely good at that. All of them are extremely good at that. But there are so many holes as to the rest of the game of football and defensively. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near us this year.
Yeah, you'd expect a professional footballer to be very good at controlling the football wherever they play, I think.
Apart from Haaland, sorry. He can't. But the rest of them are incredible.
Yeah. Well, he's there for one reason and one reason only, like, you know what I mean? And he does it very well. But the problem is the supply line has broken down. They've lost Kevin De Bruyne. They've lost Ilkay Gundogan. 2 incredible players, even if they were getting on a bit and had lost a bit of pace. They're still better than anything else is there. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that they've lost that little bit much pace. De Bruyne, I think, will thrive in Italy because it's a slower game, a slower league. And I think Kevin De Bruyne will absolutely annihilate everything else out there. For so many years, everyone was saying, oh, Haaland this, Haaland that, Haaland the other. It was all De Bruyne with a bit of hand. I always thought Gundogan was a fabulous player. I loved him at Liverpool. Just really intelligent. And that's another thing that some of those Manchester City guys lack: intelligence, game intelligence. Like, if you ask, I'm leaving Rodri out of this now, and I'm probably going to leave Reinders out of it. I'm not so sure about him still. But game intelligence, when to play the pass, like directing the team around the field. They lack leaders. And Guardiola, I'm not sure is capable, without spending 10 billion on buying new leaders, I don't think he's capable of actually coaching it into people that are there. He needs to spend another fortune to try and get the leaders in there, and he hasn't done it this time. And I think this is the last year for Guardiola for that reason.
I mean, comparing it to, that's a great answer. Thank you, Nigel. Shane, comparing it to 2 seasons ago, I've got the list on my screen, which I will share with you, but I'll read it out for the listeners as well. This is a list of Man City players from the 23-24 Premier League season. And in terms of squad depth, there were just several key differences. These are all of the players who played above 1,000 minutes, so that's at least 11 games in the Premier League. You've got Jack Grealish starting at the bottom, who played 1,009 minutes that season. Jack Grealish, John Stones, who was 29 at the time, Kevin De Bruyne, who was 32 in 23-24 season. So Grealish, Stones, De Bruyne, Kovacic, who was 29, Doku, Ake, Gvardiol, Akanji, Diaz, Haaland, Bernardo, Kyle Walker, who was 33 and just able to still play at a good level. Julian Alvarez, who was 23.
That name.
Pardon?
That name.
Exactly.
That name compared to any of the rest of those strikers that are in that, apart from Haaland. Intelligent player.
Edison as well, who was 29 and a very solid keeper that season. Phil Foden, who had probably his best season with 19 goals and 8 assists. He was incredible that season, 2 seasons ago, and then last season he completely forgot who he was. Excuse me. Frog in my throat. Thinking about how Phil Foden lost his form last season. And Rodri, of course, was the player with the most amount of minutes, about 3,000 minutes played. Started 34 of 38 matches. The Iron Man, Rodri, upon which everything was built. So now from that team, they don't have Rodri. They effectively don't have Phil Foden because his form's fallen off a cliff. They don't have Edison. They don't have Julian Alvarez, and they don't have Kyle Walker, and they don't have Bernardo Silva. That's the top 6, Shane, of their minute makers in the 23-24 season. The top 6 have all effectively left the club. They've left the building, or their form has fallen off a cliff. This is why the rebuild, like Nigel's saying, is huge. It's huge. And Pep's leaving at the end of the season, maybe. Is this last year of his contract, or even if it's next year? I think it's this year. It's just a club that seems to be in transition, and they're going to have a transition year like they did last year. And like they'll hopefully do for the next 10 or 15 years. They look a shadow of that team of only 2 years ago, Shane.
Yes, they do. And I think there are certain mitigating factors. I mean, they won the league 4 years in a row. I think there could be a little bit of a hangover factor there. I mean, also, Rodri was coming back from injury, a major injury. And so there's something to take into account there. One thing that does cross my mind as like a question, so to speak, I guess 2 questions, is one, so even with their aging defenders, as you brought up, Stones and everyone else, how are our defenders, as they get older, performing even better? Is it just our style of play, or is it anything else? But it just seems odd that their defenders seem to have this drop off where Virgil van Dijk, I mean, maybe he's just an anomaly, maybe he's just an outlier. But also, and then the second question is, why would Donnarumma go to Manchester City? Why wouldn't he just stay at PSG? Yes, it's the money. I mean, I don't know. Isn't PSG paying him enough money?
It's not. Yeah, no, I don't think it is about money. It's actually about Luis Enrique, who didn't trust Donnarumma to play with his feet. And Luis Enrique really wanted them to sign Chevalier. He was like, this is how we make the European champions better, with a keeper who can actually play with his feet a lot more. So that was the rumor that I heard anyway. I'm fairly close to PSG still. And yeah, but it's quite common knowledge in France anyway that story came out. And That apparently is the thing. And Chevalier is a very good goalkeeper as well. He was extremely good for Lille, I believe it was, that he played for before. So yeah, that PSG just upgraded on a ball playing goalkeeper. But no, yeah, with City, to answer your question about the centre backs, Joel Matip left when he was sort of John Stones' age. Look at what's happening to Joe Gomez. What's happened to him? He's not even John Stones' age, but he's played a lot of football and, well, he's had a long career. He started very young. He was overplayed when he was young. And so that has had a big effect on the rest of his career. Akanji, who they've gotten rid of because his form tanked last year as well. I just think it's sort of a natural age over the age of 30 where defenders just sort of plummet and dive apart from the outliers. So Virgil van Dijk, Thiago Silva was one who had a fabulous career after the age of 30. Using PSG as an example, Marquinhos is not the player he was 2 seasons ago, now that he's 32 or so. And I think that's around about the age 32, 33, where defenders just really go to pot. I don't really know why. But yeah, Virgil's an outlier. He still looks amazing. Nigel, you were saying that Dom Soboslai was our player of the season so far. I don't disagree, but I would also throw into that argument or discussion Virgil van Dijk, because I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. So looking at this overall, Nigel, I feel good because I started thinking about Liverpool's squad depth and what we're lacking. And if we're just looking at what we're lacking, it doesn't seem to be as much as a bottom line sort of summary of what we've just been talking about for an hour. Our depth seems to be deeper, and the waters seem to be clearer and calmer than any of our rivals. Is this my bias? Am I belly flopping into the pool of bias?
There was a question asked today online, and it was, what makes Gravenberch such a very good player, such a brilliant player? And people were saying, his ability to half turn, and he's a good ball player. I wrote down intelligence and versatility, and we have a lot of that there. Like, we've got Dom Szoboszlai being able to play right back, centre midfield, up front, wherever. Endo does the same thing. Gravenberch can go in centre half. Andy Robertson has even played centre half. Joe Gomez, any of the full back positions, any of the centre half positions. Versatility, intelligent players, and that's Manchester City lost a lot of that with guys like Gundogan and guys like De Bruyne, who can direct teams around the field, and that's very, very important. Virgil van Dijk does that. Andy Robertson does that. Salah does that. I'm sure Gakpo does that. Szoboszlai does that more and more. McAllister does it, and I just think Alisson. Did you see that video today of Alisson moving the two guys in their wall? They went in their wall to block off Raya on Sunday to unsight him from the ball. He moved them into the position. It was brilliant. It was so good. And I sat behind Alisson a few years ago, Liverpool and Huddersfield, when we won 5-0. Fastest goal we scored in Premier League history, Naby Keita. But I was sitting behind Alisson in the second half, and to watch Alisson direct our players around the field from he was walking outside the box, about 20 yards outside the box, nearly up at the halfway line when we had a corner, and he was starting to call our players back and telling them where to go. It was an absolute sight to behold. It was magic. Not enough people can see that. You know what I mean? Our players can. Our coaches can, luckily enough. Now, it may be there to an extent, but we're very lucky with what we have. Intelligent players, versatile players, and I think team spirit is very important. I'm not so sure about buying all the time and players coming in and out. It gives you a team spirit. But we have a core that ensures that the team spirit is there. Like the message that Mo Salah sent today to Harvey Elliott and the message that Harvey Elliott sent back. I think that's a very, very ingrained thing in our squad and very, very important.
And hopefully that can continue into this season with all the new players, that they can be integrated into the Liverpool way. And that's why I'm delighted that Andy Robertson has decided to stay. He gave an interview to the BBC about what was behind that. And it's basically that his heart is still in Liverpool, which is marvellous. So obviously Van Dijk and Robertson and Mo Salah can pass on that as the new Liverpool way, if you will. Frimpong, as a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, can also cover for Salah. And we didn't mention that when Salah goes, because he plays the attacking right position for the Netherlands. So that's more versatility and more intelligence. But I'm just looking at the name Isak on that list because it's still sinking in that we signed him, Shane. A few words on Isak and also a few words on how you feel about our depth compared to everyone else's, please.
Yeah, so I'm obviously super excited about Alexander Isak. It's again, using the word that I used at the beginning, it's a historic signing. It's big. It gives me confidence in our forward line, even more so than we already have. Ekitike, it doesn't necessarily mean that Ekitike is going to just sit on the bench. He can play in a number of different positions. He can come in off the left, and he could even sit behind Isak, just like if we were to play with 4 forwards. So yeah, I'm very excited about Isak. There's all of this noise about him taking legal action against Newcastle United for whatever was leaked, and then also there's this whole talk now of, okay, so, or like with him and Wissa, you know, if you're going to refuse to play, are you going to get the move that you want, versus Mark Gahey, where you still show up, you still captain, you still score, and then they say no. But I actually think we're going to get Gahey in January, much like how we've gotten incredible other signings in January. So I'm not worried about that, but I am excited about Isak. I wish it would have come in a little bit sooner, but it's done, it's happened, and now we can just move forward with it. But in terms of our squad depth versus any other, I feel like our players believe in the system, and as compared to Manchester City, where we were just looking at their squad depth, I think there's an issue of not exactly believing in the project anymore at Manchester City, that they're like, all right, we did our thing, our time's done, now we need to figure it out. And where the project with Arne Slot is a continuation of Klopp's project, and the players are fully on board. And I think that means all the difference when it comes down to actually executing a game plan, getting stoppage time winners, and then just kind of moving forward. It's crazy how much the human mentality plays into things.
That's a wonderful answer, and you're absolutely right. Mentality and belief is a great word to use. Maybe we just got more belief than anyone else. That's a wonderful point to end this discussion on depth. Just a couple of things before we finish. Just a couple of rumours. Bayern Spaces a couple of weeks ago on Twitter or X put that Olise might be free. Michael Olise might have a release clause. Well, the actual post from Bayern Space was, I can now reveal that Michael Olise has a release clause in his contract. And then there were lots of stories countering that claim that came from Bayern themselves and various respected journalists in Germany poo-pooing that as just nonsense and a rumor. But then apparently this has now been reconfirmed as being true. So Michael Olise has a release clause. He scored 2 goals in 3 games in Germany. I think he's an absolutely incredible talent, and we're going to be looking for someone to take over from Mo Salah. Nigel, Michael Olise, would you be happy? He's one of the few names in world football that I can think of that I'd be happy to have a go, at least have a good shot at taking over from Mo Salah when Mo Salah leaves. Because I'm not asking anyone to put up Mo Salah numbers, but someone who's going to add to our attack and be a brilliant player. Sorry, it's not 2 goals in 3 games, it's 3 goals in 2 games for Michael Olise in the Bundesliga this season. He's 23 years old. And I think he's perfect for Liverpool next season. Is that where you would splash your 100 million, 200 million next season, or 100 million release clause?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's rumours seem to be very strong linking him to us, and I think it'd be a good move. He's got experience in the Premier League with Crystal Palace. He's a very, very good player. Pacey, got a good shot. I think it'd be a really good move if we could get him.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. What about you, Shane? Have you seen much of Michael Olise? Do you remember him at Palace or Bayern?
Yes, I do. I was just about to say Palace. Palace seemed to be the new Brighton in terms of farming talent. I really did like watching Crystal Palace last year. I thought they were incredible, and I think Elise is a fantastic option. It just depends on what happens. I would love to get Marmouche. I don't think that's going to happen in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's within the realm of possibility. But in terms of finding an heir to Mohamed Salah, I mean, I don't know if we will, but I think that you have to just not expect. You can't set the expectations of, oh, we're going to get a Mohamed Salah, because even when we got Mohamed Salah, we weren't expecting to get what we got. And so I think you have to set reasonable expectations and think maybe it's not necessarily just one player, but maybe you get two over the course of 2 or 3 years that can share the responsibility on the right wing. But in terms of replacing him, I mean, yeah, there's also all the time we hear about players in the Bundesliga that come out of nowhere. I felt like, that because it's hard to pay attention to all 5 of the big leagues across Europe and then anywhere else. And so I have no doubt that there will be at least a handful of prospects that can take over the job. But in reality, there's never going to be any replacing Mohamed Salah.
Yes, Mo, the Egyptian king, a living legend. His legend will last forever. In terms of Liverpool, for Liverpool fans anyway, I don't know if the rest of the world will forget him. Who knows? Who cares? Michael Olise, just looking at his stats, they give me palpitations because it's just too good. In fact, I need to sit down with a brown paper bag. They're making me hyperventilate. They're too good. There are 14 different metrics, attacking metrics, that are publicly available on fbref.com. And if you score above 90% in any of them, then that's extremely good, because they're comparing you to all of the players in your position in the top 5 leagues in Europe. Michael Olise scores above the 92nd percentile in 11 of those 14 metrics. He scores in the 98th percentile or higher in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those 14 metrics. He's an utterly amazing player. The worst one is pass completion, 79th percentile, which is low because, well, it's not even low. That's amazing, 79th percentile, but that's because he tries things and he gives the ball away a bit. And progressive carries, because he's not someone who just a la Morgan Rogers takes the ball and drives, a la Tyler Dibbling takes the ball and drives. No, he makes good decisions. He can dribble. He's in the 94th percentile for successful take-ons. But he's much more interested in progressing with the ball. He's in the 96th percentile for progressive passes. So Michael Olise, for me, has got absolutely everything you want from a right-wing player in the modern game. So please, universe, if you can make that happen once again, I will sing your praises. And the last thing is that one of the players I just mentioned, Morgan Rogers, has been linked with Liverpool with Nigel sent this to me earlier, someone called the Kop Correspondent, blue tick, which is a bit of a ding 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 alarm bell these days on x.com. The Kop Correspondent says they have an exclusive news that Liverpool have a clause in the Harvey Elliott to Aston Villa contract which allows them to meet the Morgan Rogers asking price and get his signature as early as January. Take it with a pinch of salt, take it with a fistful of salt. But if it's true, Nigel, how would you feel about Morgan Rogers as early as January?
Yeah, he seems a good player. He's big and he's quick, got a shot on him. Like you said, pinch of salt. But there was rumours that we were going to go for him during the window. That was floating around. So we'll have to see what happens.
How would you feel about this, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great option. I do remember those transfer rumors. There were so many that were circulating around. Morgan Rogers could definitely be an option. But just a name I wanted to go back to that just came up. I mean, is Julian Alvarez in the cards for us at all? Do we ever think that could happen? I mean, he's 23, right?
He would be ideal for us. I think he's a little bit older than 23 now. January the 31st, 2000, he was born, so that he's 25 years old and 216 days as we're recording this. So he's 25. He's a wonderful player, but apparently he's extremely settled in Madrid. And not only that, he's got, I think, maybe at least one, but perhaps two brothers who also play for Madrid-based teams, but in lower divisions or in teams that are not as good. So it's like his whole family's in Madrid. He's very happy in Madrid, and it looks like it almost impossible to get him out there. Incredible player. I'm a big fan of Julian Alvarez. In many ways, I would have preferred him to Isaac. But there you go. So just before we go, before we head out, sorry, I didn't give my Morgan Rogers opinion, just for the record. I think he's overrated, like many English players. And I just think that he's very good, though. Like he could be a good player. He's one of those English players that haven't lost it yet. He's very good at being direct, but he's lacking something, and I can't even tell you what it is. 8 goals and 10 assists last season was very good, but I just don't. There's something about his game that needs work. He needs Arne Slot to teach him total football. Is what he needs. He needs work to let the ball do the work, like Olise does. But yes, one last thing that Nigel's just reminded me of by holding up his iPad and showing me that Bobby Graham has died, and I wasn't sure who he was, and Nigel's been educating me, but perhaps you can educate the listeners, Nigel, about the passing. Rest in peace, Bobby Graham.
Yeah, Bobby Graham joined Liverpool in 1960 as an apprentice. Made his league debut 1964 European game, his first ever European game for Liverpool at Anfield against KR Reykjavik, 1-6-1. Bobby Graham scored our first ever European goal at Anfield. Went out on his league debut 12 days later against Aston Villa and scored a hat-trick. Bobby Graham was a really class player. I was talking to one of the guys earlier on. He said he'd seen him playing. He said he was a fantastic player. And he played in 1969, 1970. He played 54 games, 21 goals. He was the team's top scorer. And unfortunately, my friend said he saw him playing against Chelsea for Liverpool, where he broke his ankle by tripping over the ball, and it kind of affected his game, his pace. There's a famous goal he scores against Everton when he goes running from the halfway line. It's on YouTube, I think, and he goes around the goalkeeper and slots it in from a narrow angle. He was from Motherwell, and he played for Motherwell as well, a bit like Ian St. John. So the last thing I'm going to say is I'm going to quote his song. He had a famous song, and the song was Viva Bobby Graham. So R.I.P. Bobby, you'll never walk alone.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you, Nigel. And we were talking before about this, but you were speaking to Tom from the LFC Red Poets podcast about that, and just want to shout out to the LFC Red Poets podcast because it's a great one. It's really great. I love it. I listen to every episode. So if you're looking for a new Liverpool podcast, then LFC Red Poets is a great place to go. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, Shane and Nigel. We've been speaking for an hour and a half. Is there anything you would like to add, Shane? Is there anything you need to you need to plug? Is there anything you're doing professionally? You've got any performances coming up? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. No, thank you so much. Yeah, well, I guess first off, rest in peace, Bobby Graham. I think that's most important along with everything else. But yeah, I've just done a few different things, like some plays. One of them in particular, we're in development right now about the Fox sisters. Do you know about the Fox sisters?
I don't. Enlighten.
Yeah, they're kind of the original like 3 sisters who create like everything that you know about seances and the Ouija board. They created the Ouija board and everything else.
Okay.
And so they actually had a New York show, and we just did this table read for this play, all about everything that was going on and their dynamics. And they actually lived very tumultuous lives that were, they ended up dying broke, penniless due to alcoholism before the age 60. So they had these very, very traumatic lives, and it's very interesting, but it's also funny because, it's like 1800s, early 1900s show business sort of stuff. But yeah, I believe, I haven't heard confirmation yet, but I believe I'm going to be playing the young Ebenezer Scrooge in a production of A Christmas Carol, but I will find that out on the 14th. So I think it's going to happen, but we'll see. But other than that, I really do appreciate you thinking about me in theater. That's really kind and sweet of you. So thank you.
No, man. I mean, no, fully support you here, everyone at Kop On Podcast. Go Shane. Go Shane. Great stuff. No, it's excellent. We're all supporting you here. Excellent stuff. And yeah, very good. Yeah, bah humbug. It'd be a great role to play. Scrooge. Excellent. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to everybody. Nigel, do you have any other business or things we haven't mentioned yet?
No, not at the moment. I don't think. No, just good luck to Shane with that, getting that part or parts, and yeah, I look forward to hearing all about it.
Of course, thank you so much. This is about Liverpool. This isn't about me, but I do appreciate you too. I mean, it's just been our relationship has been building more and more over the years, and I really do look forward to seeing you two each and every episode.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure to have you with us, Shane. It really is. And no, I mean, it's good to know what's going on. Always curious to find out. But anyway, thank you to everybody. Thank you to the listeners. If you can share Kop On, it would help because everything helps. If you want to get in touch, please do. And Daniel Levy has left Tottenham Hotspur, and I'll just leave you with his parting words, which was sent on our WhatsApp group, koponpodcast@gmail.com, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, by our friend Craig. And Craig put Daniel Levy's official statement on the website, and he highlighted these words. This is what Daniel Levy said. Quote, open the quotes. "We have built this club into a global heavyweight competing at the highest level.